All right. Welcome, my YouTube people. Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. We got, you rub a genie, and this guy appears.
Oh.
You rub a little bottle, and Campus Preacher appears. Yeah,
you mean you rub a lamp and a genie appears? Is that what you do?
Or you rub a genie.
I'm out.
Whoa!
Fun, Red Balloon.
You rub a Chuck Knox, I'm the Water Boy, and this is CEO of Red Balloon, Andrew Krepschutz. He's a familiar face to you guys. With the economy going the way it is, Feds just raised interest rates this week. CPI, inflation's up. Joe Biden's still awake. Sort of.
You don't know that.
He's still.
Yeah,
I can't believe we got 2.5 years more of Biden.
I don't think
that's
he's gonna
where we're
make it.
at.
I think they've got interviews.
I was shocked that he made it past a year, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that late night show he did last week, and he didn't know where he was. You're just like, man, for his own good.
Did he not know where he was?
He
Well,
doesn't-
he didn't. I mean, he wasn't talking coherent. So
No, and he was also. Did you hear what he said on that? He's like, look, Roe v. Wade, if this falls, it's going to cause uprisings in these red states, and people are going to ask for their rights, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
terrible.
no.
It's painful.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And so with the way things have been going in the economy, one of the things I was actually on a radio show today talking about the economy, and he asked me, okay, how should Christians be thinking about our current economy? And I said, for one, we are coming into a downturn in the economy. It's obvious. All the indicators are facing that way. So we need to not respond with fear. Okay. Number two, we need to be honest with how we got here. Mm-hmm. Don't be partisan with it.
Right.
Because everyone wants to blame Joe Biden right now for economic, inflation. It's a Biden inflation economy. It's a Biden economy, all that stuff. But the reality is conservative Republicans did just as much work to get us here as the Democrats. In fact, you can probably even argue they might have done a little more to get us
It's a
here.
good pattern.
Okay. They passed the Republican administration passed $3 trillion in stimulus. Biden administration passed $1.9 trillion in stimulus.
They're not done yet, though.
And how many conservative businesses out there took PPP money that didn't even need it, but it's like, ooh, free money.
Yeah.
Free money.
No.
But what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, they're giving away free money. Do I not take the free money?
Correct. I was offered $4 to $5 million at MZ of free PPP money.
Dude, we could enroll.
No.
We would have been on the beach together.
And you could have
know-
donated at the Cross Politic. We could have been in Croatia.
Cross-politic private jet.
Bro, we could have.
Could have been unbelievable. No, but that's the thing. You can't complain about taxes and then take that money.
Yeah.
Well, we can take that money and invest it and do something good with it. I feel like this is Lord of the Rings.
This
We
is
can
like-
do something good with the ring.
It'll be
Hey, put it on.
Exactly.
Here you go.
Right, yeah, just put this ring on. You're going to have the
That's
power.
right.
But that's the realities. And I know a lot of Christian businesses that took that money.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I mean, we should just take the money. It's free money. And and if we don't take it, somebody else is going to take it.
But then the government. Okay, so that's businesses with the PPP money.
Well,
Yep.
that's the state. Our Idaho had the same argument.
But
Yep.
then all of a sudden you look at your bank account and the government's put money in there. And it's like, hey, you got kids? How many?
$3,500.
Okay, and here go, and they put in your bank account, and they're like, what do you say? Have it back. How do you even deal with that? Because it's the same thing, just on a
Right.
different.
I didn't get any money, if that's encouraging to you.
Okay.
No.
There's this net worth thing that's just
Oh,
frustrating.
You were above that ceiling.
I
You were
don't know
above that
why.
ceiling.
I
He broke
think
the ceiling.
I broke the
He broke
ceiling.
through.
So
Bumped my head a little bit.
Let's say that you did get the money. Are you
Right.
giving that back?
You can't give it back. There's no mechanism, but you can give it to a church.
Okay.
Right? You can take what is dirty and make it holy. Right?
Ooh.
So can we take that $5 million? Then we could
Too late.
put a little water on it and baptize
You are
it?
not a church, my
Okay.
friend.
I'm just saying, like it's still giving, and we can sanctify. We
Yeah,
can have
no.
Pastor Toby bless it or something. Like we can't do that.
Something amazing to get yourself.
That's
That,
Can we
funny.
have Benny here with his handkerchief or
Cross
something?
politic private jet.
Can we rub a genie?
Yeah, no, we're not going to rub a gene. So no, I think you need to stand up and do the right thing. You gotta live your values, or else you're gonna get. We don't know how that money's connected, but the Biden administration today said that they were going to put out a lot of things to support LGBTQBI
Plus.
9528, right? And anyone who's taking government money and isn't supporting that, they're going to go after him. Oh, guess what? Remember that string that was attached to that $5 million? They've now got you by the short hairs, and they can do what you want. And all those universities that are out there, all those hospitals that are out there that are taking government money.
That's right.
Well, guess what? It felt a lot like free money, but now they're going to be able to say, you know, you took our money.
And they tied it to
You don't have
ESG.
to say something.
Yeah.
They basically tied it to ESG. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right? ESG. They basically tied it to like ESG.
The
Business
ESG and
regulation,
this LGBTQ, like they're basically saying that, you know, and whether he's going to get that to work or not, that's what he wants to do, right?
Yeah.
And the government always has strings attached.
Yeah, as I said, it's just it doesn't matter if they're building roads. It doesn't matter if it's a age of alcohol drinking. It's always like, oh, you want money? You got to bow down to these rules. And
That's
everyone's
right.
like, and the states are like, well, we need the money, and companies like, we need the money. So
Right.
people always bow to They
Well,
serve
and
the
here's how
money.
they're actually going to get red flag laws passed is through money. It's not going to be through regulations.
Wow.
So what's going to happen is same thing with the seatbelt law. It says, well, you need to wear a seatbelt in your state, or we're gonna if you don't do it, if you're not going to have seatbelt laws in your state, then we're going to take away federal highway funds.
That's right.
And the same, they're going to raise the age, let's say, of buying a gun to age 21, or we won't give you this federal funding. That's how they're ultimately going to get it. Right now, it's politically, some red flag laws might go through because there's enough conservatives, it sounds like, that might be idiots. But most red flag laws are going to end up going through at the mechanism of some sort of federal funding.
We were talking about on the show, if you haven't downloaded the app, you won't get to see the lovely show that we did. There's 2 great segments there. And actually the backstage was even pretty phenomenal.
The backstage worth its Prime membership.
Do you think, we talked about ESG a little bit. Do you think that's one of the greatest threats facing us right now is the ESG stuff?
I actually think ESG is on the way to death right now.
Really?
I think it really is. It's been the hottest thing since about the last 10, 12 years in investing. So
people are just now finding out about it.
That's right. But if you were in private equity or you were in hedge funds, you were swimming in ESG water for the last 10 years, right? It's only kind of coming out as a bad guy now to a lot of conservatives. And so a lot of us are just finding out about it. But a lot of your mutual funds, all your money that was parked there, it's been in ESG and you didn't even know it. So ESG's been doing that. The reason I say it's dead, or not dead, but dying, is because there's a lot of capitalists out there that are still like, yeah, so energy stocks are up 40% this year, right? Dave Bonson and I were talking about this on my podcast, The Courageous Economy. So I've plugged that now twice.
Yeah.
What's the website for Courageous Economy?
I don't know, redballoon.work and figure it out. Redballoon.work.
Google me, dog. Google me.
I'm on Google.
I'm on Google, I think. I don't know. I have people for that. So
That's funny.
So the Courageous Economy, but we talked about, like, there are capitalists out there. And if you can focus on just bringing returns, people are going to care less about ESG.
Gabe has to go because he's important and has to do more funner stuff than hang out with us. So.
I'll say it's even amazing what an Elon Musk is able to do, because 2 weeks ago he tweeted out about ESG, and next thing you know, it was almost like suddenly a huge blip on the radar. You know what I mean? It went from kind of flying under the radar by and large. He mentions it. Now everybody's like, oh, because Tesla, I guess, they didn't get kicked out. Maybe because there was maybe like a top 100 that he got dropped from. Maybe Tesla. Got dropped from.
The S&P 500, was it?
No, it was he got dropped from some sort of like
I'm just saying
ranking
words.
in it.
Yeah, it was an
and then
ESG ranking because they used to be the darling because it's like, oh, electric cars, you're saving the environment, but he wasn't stepping to the right tune.
Yeah.
And so he got
There's power in
dinged.
that. So because you don't get a loan. Some banks can say, hey, you don't meet our standard for ESG score, so therefore you don't get a loan for it.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things you talked about in the show, and I just want to hit again, you talked about the big sort, and this is a fascinating to me. Explain to everybody what the big sort is.
Yeah, basically people are moving, like physically moving their family to where the state laws line up with their belief system and their living their values, right? So
it's a religious move right now.
It is a religious move, right? And we're seeing that here in Idaho. There's a lot of people moving here for the values in the community and so on and so forth, but there's a lot of people leaving New York and California, Illinois. We just saw Caterpillar left their headquarters, just left Illinois, but 250,000 people net out-migration from the state of New York, meaning some people moved in, but 250,000 more moved out than moved in, and they took with them a net $19 billion in taxable income. And so you have the most productive people moving to blue states and moving to blue companies. So
blue states or red states? The most productive people.
Correct. The red states.
I was gonna say.
Good catch. That's why he's here. They're moving to the red states. They're looking for freedom, and they're looking for freedom with their jobs, with their investments. That's why people are leaving these ESG funds, and they're looking with their retail. That's why a company like Public Square is out there with thousands of freedom-loving businesses. If you want to support people who actually care about freedom and the Constitution, run by a good friend of mine, Michael Seifert, who's a Christian. Phenomenal, right? They've got thousands of businesses who are like, you know what, I don't want to stand for this stuff anymore. So people are voting with their dollars and they're voting with their feet, moving to these blue to red states.
When I was telling you on the show, when I started understanding what ESG was, all I could think about was what redballoon.work does.
Yeah.
It feels like that. Okay, where are my values at? Where are the people who share my values, and how can I go work for somebody like that?
That's right.
Because
the reality is, if you're an employee, your employer is probably making more on you than they're paying you. Right. Otherwise, they shouldn't have.
Hopefully,
they should fire you.
Yeah.
Right? So that you're making them money. Hopefully, if you're a good worker, right? And so the reality is, if you're at a large woke business and you are making them money that is going against your worldview, probably. Right. And so you either need to stand up, and we're calling it Coming Out Conservative in the month of June. You either need to stand up and make a racket at work. And it might cost you your job. And if it does, come over to redballoon.work or just leave.
We got you.
Right? We got you. Or just leave and say, you know what? I'm going to go find an employer that I want to bless that employer with my productivity. And I want to make sure that they're making money because they align with my worldview. And so the more the conservatives are willing to make that big change, sometimes they make more money, sometimes you make less money, but it's deeply satisfying to work with someone who actually cares about your worldview and actually cares about you.
What do you guys need at redballoon.work? I hope you guys explode, and I hope that you guys become the new central point, touch point for people to find work, because it's hard right now, and a lot of people are leaving certain fields, wanting to get into other fields. They're finding out that they don't have the education to do it, and some people say, we don't care. We don't care, which is really interesting right now. It's gotten to the point where it's like, we'll train you, just get here. But what does Red Balloon need right now?
It just needs people to be brave, right? It takes courage to leave that 6-figure Fortune 500 woke job. Like, that takes courage, but it's the right thing to do. And so I need more people to be brave. Our mission is to redeem the world of work, right? The world of work needs to be redeemed. We want people who go to work, who are working with like-minded people, who are deeply satisfied because they're there. And so if you know someone who's stuck at a big woke business, please tell them about redballoon.work. If you know businesses who want access to the best kind of workers, the ones that show up and don't complain in the HR department all day long like a snowflake. Yeah, like, do your work, get your job done. If you're an employer and you want those kind of people, that's what we have on redballoon.work, right? Conservatives are the hardest working people, and we're the largest ideological group in America, but we've been the least likely to say anything. And the more that conservatives are finding other people to work with, I just think that's how we're going to save America, because you can actually affect culture a lot by giving someone a job where they're deeply satisfied, where they're doing good work with like-minded people.
I don't think, one of the things we didn't even get to on the show, and I love to talk about, is that when you have sin, when you have immorality, you are literally trying to recreate reality. Yeah. Right? And one of the things that you brought up on the show was that there's 100 billion work hour.
So the American Management Association estimated, this is 2019, this has been depending on how you want to think about it, right?
Yes.
Right? Yes. So $100 billion was $100 billion of worker productivity was lost in America in 1 year. $100 billion through office politics. When you have sin in the workplace that's not dealt with, it costs real money.
And you don't get to work. You create a false reality that doesn't exist, and you don't get to work, which is what you're called to do, and so that you don't make products.
Yep.
And so that false reality implodes in on itself.
And then we have inflation, and we have unhappy people, and it's a wreck.
And you can't escape this God's world. It's going to function and flow in a particular type of way. And when you get away from that, you go insane, which is what's happening to these, right? When you get away from God's world, God's standard on things, you go insane. That's Romans 1, right? And so you're going to get this. Your companies are not going to be there. They're going to implode, right? And so you got to find another place to go work that won't implode, that doesn't share this insane worldview, and start building that. You're the ones who kind of taught me that. It's like, hey, go find a company. I don't care if you're in a big company. I don't care if you're at Disney. Go find a company that shares your worldview, shares your values, and give your next 15, 20 years, 30 years to that, and watch that be successful.
And work hard and bless them.
That's it, man. Thanks,
it.
bro. Cool.
Good.